Hey everybody, welcome back to the Running Through YouTube page. My name is Justin Horniker, and today we're going to talk about marathons again, obviously, the marathon trials in Atlanta, but more importantly, surrounding the bigger conversation of Vaporflys, of shoe technology, of the size of the Olympic trials field. But anyway, let's talk about it. Let's dive into it. Yesterday, I was going through the data, through the race results, because we had some KC track club runners who were looking to get the Olympic trial qualifying time. And ultimately it turned out that 37 men were under the OTQ and 73 women. So roughly double the amount of women hit the Olympic trial qualifier, which is great because our two ladies were getting kind of close, but definitely made it, which is awesome. Congrats to them. But it does lend a question of tightening up those OTQs a little bit. And I've had some good conversations the past few days on, do we want to tighten up that OTQ or do we want to open up that men's OTQ? Personally, my initial thought was that we need to tighten everything down. This field is getting too big because ultimately the goal of the race is to get top 3 and to make it to the Olympics. And when your field is 300 people big, 300 people large, there's going to be some at the back. But then I got to thinking, and I had some good conversations with some people, that this is kind of the one opportunity for that semi-elite marathoner, and still very, very good. On the men's side, we're talking under 219. The women's, we're talking under 245. Those are very, very good runners, even though on the women's side, that race can potentially be one in 220. The men's race is probably going to be one in 210, 209. So someone running 219, someone running 240 is going to be way off the back. But then I started kind of thinking about it as a cross-country type of atmosphere. That, yeah, there's always going to be someone who's at the back of the pack, someone who isn't necessarily in contention, but building out that field, building out that environment that you don't have to be in contention to win a spot, to enjoy yourself, to bring something to the table, to make it just that atmosphere. There's going to be a lot of people going that know somebody or have someone that has made the trials that wouldn't be interested in otherwise. So you're bringing eyes to the sport by opening up that field a little bit. I just wonder when that starts to get off the rails. And I think it definitely needs some adjusting, because even if we're open to the fact that we want more people in the trials, the women's times and the men's times are just not equivalent right now. So the women are going to have, close to double the amount that the men are going to have. And that's based off, it's hard to project out everything that was going to happen the last 4 years. I mean, they did crank down those Olympic trial qualifying times, but when you picture that the average marathon time is probably over 4 minutes faster now, especially with kind of footwear technology. Just look at the world record. The world record went down 3 minutes. So that's 4 years ago. It's something that going into, this isn't a 2020 problem, this is more of a 2024 problem. What do we want that field to look like? And you can't put a number of entries on it, because imagine for a moment that we limited the field to 225, both sides, 225. And at the last day of the qualifying window, like 10 people will qualify. I have zero trust in USATF that they'd be able to get that right. They'd be able to communicate everything perfectly. So we don't want numbers. We want times and, a fluid field, but I think you still want to have more even numbers between the women's and the men's, just because I think that women's is not too easy, but too broad. Because I do think, even though like I brought up the example of an NCAA field earlier, still you're going to have some people running, on that Atlanta course, like probably 255, when the race is going to be 1 in 220 to 230. So you're talking 25 minutes between the winners and the people pulling up the end, which is fine. I just think that we need to talk about that a little bit. So that's my thought on the Olympic trials field itself. And I'm not sold one way or the other. What I do know is that Atlanta Track Club is doing a great job organizing it, and they're going to put on a hell of a show regardless. But I just wonder if we want to narrow that focus on the 3 spots at hand. Sometimes I think when you have 1% of the field is going to make it to the Olympics. I think of like the playoffs or the postseason in other sports where things get narrowly more important, where you have your marathons where people run the trials qualify, and then you have your trials where people make the Olympics, and you have your Olympics. The field kind of funnels its way down along the way. That's a subject for another day. What I do want to talk about is the prevalence of Vaporflys, the prevalence of shoes that help bring these times down. Because this is not something that we accounted for, and it's something that I talked about on this channel many a time. But in essence, to not ramble here, one, a lot of people want to blame Vaporflys for being unfair. This is going to be kind of a two-pronged argument. Vaporflys, there's no rule to say Vaporfly is unfair. What is unfair in the competitive landscape is that other brands have not caught up to Nike yet, or even in the marketing arm of it. Because I fully believe that the Hoka Carbon X and the Hoka Carbon Rocket are getting pretty close. The Brooks Hyperion, which I don't think is available yet. Saucony's Endorphin Pro, which is going to be available not in time for the trials, which I'm very disappointed in. The New Balance Rebel, the Skechers Speed Elite. There are shoes out there, and they will catch up, and I would bet by the next Olympic qualifying window, this won't be as much of a talking point anymore. But the problem is that people go out, you can look at the videos of that race, there are like 2 people in Hoka Carbon X's and everyone else is in Vaporflys. I posted it on my Twitter this morning if you want to check it out. This coming fresh off a time when a lot of runners said that they aren't going to give Nike their business anymore because of their attitude through the scandals this summer, through defending Alberto Salazar, through everything that happened to Mary Kane. Everyone came out and were really headstrong about really changing their behaviors and really not supporting Nike through it. But it's hard because they're woven into the fabric of the sport. But then you look at probably 85% of runners are still wearing Vaporflys in that CIM clip. It makes you really need to take stock on how much people are willing to lay down on the line for something that matters. It's easy for me to say, since I don't have Olympic trial qualifier and I'm nowhere close. I'd love to break 230, but I'm never going to qualify for Olympic trials. However, if you ask me as a 2:19.25 marathoner, that these Vaporflys that I haven't run in yet could potentially take a minute off my time because of the efficiency bonus and everything get out of those shoes, it's a much tougher question to answer. So I get it, I get where you're coming from, but sometimes these sacrifices, when you want to stand for something, are not going to be easy. And you have to determine, okay, what's more important to me, making the Olympic trials or standing by my morals, standing by my stance that I want to take. And a lot of people are picking going to the trials, and I get it. It's a probably once in a lifetime, or at least twice in a lifetime opportunity. Fine. And it's hard to say, it's something that we all dream about. Every runner growing up dreams about going to the Olympics, and the Olympic trials is like that last frontier. But sometimes things are more important. Sometimes attitudes are more important. The sport is more important. And it's just something that we need to think about. Just to send you home as I finish up this video, how important is this to you? Do you want to take this stand? Do we want to force Nike to change? You don't force Nike to change by shelling out $250 for Nike Vaporflys. Now, the good news is that Nike employees today went on strike for a lot of the issues that were brought up during the Mary Kane investigations. There is a lot of movement for an independent investigation going into Nike. As we talked about, Alberto Salazar is being investigated by Safe Sport. There are a lot of good things that are coming, but as long as consumers, we're still speaking with our wallets and Nike doesn't feel it, then what is it all for? Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like this video, if you like my point of view, give me a thumbs up. If you have other thoughts on this, sign up below. Again, it's such a tough topic because I get it, but I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos. I'm also going to talk about the big Russian news that came down today on another video tomorrow. So stay tuned and we'll talk soon, guys.